Right.
All right. Now we have probably what some of you in Mark Nelson's class are here for, at least. We have the debate.
Those poor kids.
Poor children. So, tonight's debate, tonight's topic is Netflix and chill does more harm than good.
It's just tell them who's debating.
All right, so debating tonight for your viewing pleasure, we have on the affirmative team saying that yes, it is harmful. We have Fletcher Wingfield. Fletcher, come down here, please. Don't clap, I'm not done yet. Fletcher Wingfield is a national medalist, he is a state medalist, and he also is the founder of his own religion called Piratology. If you would like to hear about this, you can go to FletcherWingfield.com or piratologyisgreat.org.
Those aren't real things.
Please don't, he will go on talking and you will never leave. So, next for the affirmative team, we have Andrew Biden. Come on down, Andrew. Andrew is a first semester debater, which means he's only been doing this for a semester. Last semester, he was out there with you. So, however, Andrew has won multiple tournaments. He has also won multiple awards at these tournaments. He's very successful. When asked to describe himself in one word, Andrew looked at me and he said, Jimmy, I want you to tell them that I'm cinnamon.
No, that's not what he said.
Is that not what he said? Remind me what he said.
You asked him what type of oatmeal he was, and you said cinnamon oatmeal, and he said, what did you say? You said, I don't like cinnamon.
See, I can't even remember what I say.
Yeah, you don't, just, dear God.
All right, last but not least, we have Kelsey McCaffrey. Please come down, Kelsey.
Oh!
Kelsey is also a first semester debater. She's won multiple tournaments. She's even won a silver medal at the state competition. That's very impressive for a first semester debater. Please give her a round of applause for the barista who works at Pete's.
And for the affirmative team.
Now introducing the team who will lose tonight's debate.
The team who is going to win tonight. All right, first up we have Morgan Connors. Once again, last semester, there we go. She was sitting in the crowd, and this semester, we won a tournament together.
Humble brag.
Always. And our next debater is a medalist at states, as well as the junior division University Pacific champion, the pan with the plan, my girl Amber Nicholson. Oh, and like, it's Kevin again.
Oh. Did I hear Kevin? Remember cowboy hat Kevin? This guy? Yeah. Kevin's amazing. Please give a round of applause for Kevin.
Yeah. All right, so anything else? No, you're all good. Cool. Have fun.
Take it away, boys.
Sit down.
And girls. And others.
Test. Okay, cool. All right. Let me just get it set up real quick. All right, everybody ready? Affirmative side, negative side. All right, let's begin. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to Speech Night tonight. Today we'll be discussing the topic, has Netflix and chill done more harm than good? My side, the affirmative side, will be agreeing with this resolution saying Netflix and chill has done more harm than good. Now, Netflix and chill means exactly what you think it does. And if you don't know, just ask the young adult around you. So, under all presumption in this debate, we will be concluding that Netflix and chill will be under safe and consensual sex in this term. So, everybody knows what Netflix and chill means, right? But it wasn't always this way. Netflix and chill was invented as a way to ask someone upfront, say, hey, do you want to have sex with me? Now, fast forward now to where everybody knows what Netflix and chill means. So you have an entire world that now knows what this coded phrase means, and we've had to start saying it in different ways. All jokes aside, Netflix and chill has been, in this debate, is a euphemism for contemporary dating culture and how much sex has been casualized with it. And today we will be saying contemporary dating culture and the casualization of sex has done more harm than good. My first major argument is Netflix and chill leads to emotional detachment. Casualization of dating reduces communication and discussion. So you come over for the night to watch probably the first 15 minutes of whatever Netflix show you watch, and then you spend the rest of the night having sex with each other. Now, this decrease in communication and discussion leads to emotional detachment because you have two humans not humanize one another. When someone is just over at your house to have sex, that is their value to you. So what happens once they lose that value to you, or you get bored with them? ghosting. Now, ghosting is the practice of ending a relationship with someone without any explanation and cutting off all communication. When you have an increase in casual dating because individuals do not humanize one another, individuals learn not to treat one another with respect. So now we have a bunch of individuals who have no idea how to treat and not to learn about one another in relationships, who aren't investing because of ghosting. Now, relationships that aren't being invested in, pretty much, why would you invest in a relationship with someone where everyone's ghosting each other left and right? Because you can do so behind your mobile phones. Now, when someone is being ghosted, they're being abandoned. You send a text saying, hey, you want to come over? Hey, you want to come and Netflix and chill? And you get no response. And then you wait a few hours later and there's still no response. So you send a second text, even though you know you shouldn't. And a few more hours go by. And then days go by. And then weeks go by. And you don't hear anything from this person. And you start to ask yourself, is it me? Is that all that they wanted from me? So this group of individuals, millennials, needed to create a phrase, Netflix and chill, as a curtain to hide behind, rather than just saying, hey, do you want to have sex with me? Like someone who has to say, Netflix and chill has any communication skills at all when trying to connect with someone or even be developing a long-lasting relationship. Now, my second major argument is casual sexpectations. Casual dating leads to the normalization of the idea that even just hanging out can lead to sex, whether all participants intend this or not. Now just coming over to have dinner, for example, can be a sexualized event. Netflix and chill has sexualized normal events in the sense where both parties could be expecting different expectations. Netflix and chill has literally caused the subtext in questions like, hey, you want to hang out? And suddenly, it is a sexually charged question of, do they really just want to hang out with me? Everyone's received that text and been put in the situation of, does this person want more than me? This normalization creates the pressure to have sex in casual situations where it did not exist before Netflix and chill. This leads to hurt feelings on both sides, where one party feels like, hey, you want to hang out? Meant the same thing as Netflix and chill, where the other party has no idea or no expectation of that. Not to mention how the objectification of a person increases because their only value and worth as a person is based on your body, and when you turn the other person down, you are losing that value and the only connection you have to them. So in summary, Netflix and chill has done more harm than good because of the emotional detachment between two people. Look, millennials, Netflix and chill is the curtain to hide behind the question, do you want to have sex? And as long as it is here, we will see an increase in worthless relationships not being invested in because your value is your body. Along with this comes sex expectations in normal environment, and God, aren't you tired of hearing the text, hey, you want to hang out, and wondering if it means something more? So in turn, worthless relationships with a decrease in investing, objectification on both sides, and increase of both parties because your worth and ghosting behind each other of screens casualizes and has these normal sexualized events. Don't run away.
Perfect.
All right, I have a couple questions for you before I begin. One, how do millennials these days go from, hey, what's your name, to let's have sex?
So in turn, that's our entire argument. When you look at individuals and Netflix and chill, it is literally the casualization of, hey, we're skipping the in-between part where I get to know you and just jumping to the end where we have sex. So in turn, that's kind of our argument of, yeah, we skip the middle part of getting to know each other and actually investing and humanizing one another.
Okay, question number 2. In terms of ghosting, if I'm not emotionally invested in Casper, why does it hurt when he disappears?
So if you're not emotionally invested in Casper, so let's say you are really just there to have sex. You're just there to Netflix and chill and move on with it. Your value to that person is still your body. So even if they ghost you and they stop responding to you, you're still going to ask yourself the question of, is it me? Like I said earlier, even if you don't want to emotionally invest, you're still going to think deep down, is it me? Am I not good at sex? What is it? So even if you're not emotionally invested, I'd say that it's still the worth of your body being put on value in this relationship.
All right, thank you guys for coming to Speech and Debate Night. Before I begin, I'll just set this up for you. I'm going to be doing the opposing side's argument. I will not be actually addressing her argument yet. My teammates will be doing that, so I'll just be setting this up. So about 5 minutes. Are you guys ready? Okay, so the opposing team will be setting up two main arguments. The first main argument is sex positivity. And in other words, people enjoy having sex and it's good for them too. All right, so in today's society, women are not in control of their sexuality. Let's take it back a little bit. Before, we used to put chastity belts on women. So we don't do this anymore, hopefully, but it's still a symbol of essentially a woman's worth. A woman's worth is basically how much sex are they having or how little sex are they having. We're literally labeling a woman's human value based upon the value or how much sex they are not having. So with this, Netflix and Chill actually sets up a realm in which women are now in control of their sexuality. Now we have an environment in which women can choose whether or not they want to have sex and how much of it they want to have without any of that social backlash of slut shaming and other such things that are incredibly emotionally detrimental. Now, let's look at what Netflix and Chill does for both parties. We are given an environment in which we can have much more sex. Why is this good? Because there are so many benefits of sex. Oh my God, my dad is laughing so hard right now. So we have a lot of physical and emotional benefits of sex. Let's look at a carefully study with a 10-year follow-up in which they studied people that were having sex at least twice a week, if not more. And then what they found was that sex actually proved to increase the longevity of life. It decreased heart attack, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. But what's most important about sex is when you have sex, it releases oxytocin, colloquially known as the cuddling drug. Why? Because oxytocin makes you happy. It makes you want to cuddle with each other. It makes you want to bond. Oxytocin is the pair bonding drug. It's great. So basically, what are we saying? We're saying sex is good, we like it, and we should have much more of it. I'm so sorry, Dad. So Netflix and Chill is good. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our second argument. Netflix and Chill reduces the patriarchal bias inherent in traditional dating culture. In other words, it removes the pressures and sex expectations that are typically present in heteronormative dating culture. What does this mean? All right, so in the heteronormative dating culture, we're talking about a man and a woman dating. So let's set it up for you. We have a man and we have a woman. They're going on a date, whether it's coffee, dinner, whatever. So a man buys the coffee or the dinner, so we'll call that the resources. And in return, a woman has sex expectations. What this is the expectation to provide sexual favors of any kind in exchange for these resources, aka dinner. So, but women, if we have sex too soon, we're considered a slut. But if we wait way too long to have sex, then we're considered a prude. So in this environment, women just can't win. And we see a lot of the slut shaming if we do have sex too soon. And slut shaming, as I said before, is emotionally detrimental. So, how does Netflix and Chill change this? So, in this heteronormative dating culture, let's also add the fact that it makes it much harder for a woman to say no to these sex expectations once dinner or coffee or whatever is bought. So, Netflix and Chill is an environment in which men and women are equals. Why? Because men and women have this environment where the expectations are laid out. We know what it is. We're basically gonna go to someone's house, watch all or part of a movie, and then we're gonna have sex. So both parties know what it is. So this is a realm in which men are no longer providing resources and there is not an exchange of sex expectations. It's simply a man and a woman enjoying sex together, just enjoying each other's company. So with this, we're reducing these pressures that is typically found in dating of, oh my God, do I take her on a date? How much money do I spend on this date? Oh my gosh, he just bought me dinner. What do I do? I think I should have sex with him. So it completely reduces this. We see that both parties know what the expectations are. There's a clear outline and it's good for everyone. So Netflix and Chill, in conclusion, it relieves pressure of expectations and greatly reduces gender stereotypes from the dating equation.
Is it working now? Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right, before my partner gets up to speak, Morgan, I'd like to ask you a few questions. So are there any other effects to oxytocin other than what you mentioned in your speech?
Yes. So oxytocin also is greatly relaxing. It reduces anxiety. It makes you somewhat sleepy almost.
Perfect. And then for question 2, was there any phrase that existed prior to Netflix and chill?
Yes. So some of our older generations might be familiar with the term, would you like to come up for a nightcap, or would you like to come up for some coffee?
All right, that is it.
All right.
All right, you guys all hear me very well? Let's make sure. All right. I'd like to start off by pointing out that my job right now is not to bolster the affirmative side, but rather to negate the negatives arguments. So I will only be refuting the things that Morgan just spoke about. So to start, I'm going to talk about why the negatives arguments have flaws in them. So I'll begin with sex positivity, and then I'll move over to the patriarchal bias. So the negative side would like you to believe that Netflix and chill is synonymous with sex, that the two are one and the same. But this is false. What we're talking about tonight is a very specific type of contemporary dating culture and the effects that come from that. To start with sex positivity. So the negative claims that Netflix and chill increases the ease of sex and the amounts of people that have sex. They also claim that there are several health benefits that come from this, such as physical and mental and emotional well-being, as well as talking about the increase in social aspects to it. So we, as the affirmative, will agree that there are several health benefits to have sex. So obviously, emotional well-being is definitely a big part of that. So is physicality. However, I'm sure everybody here is familiar with the concept of a quickie. If you are in a committed relationship with somebody, it's very easy to just be like, would y'all want to have sex? Okay. Instead of having to wait until Friday or Saturday night and actually text that person if they would like to come over and Netflix and chill. So being in a relationship actually increases the ease of sex rather than just waiting to text that person. To move on to oxytocin, making it a cuddling drug is also blatantly false. According to Men's Health Sleep Advisor William Christopher Winter, a doctor of medicine, he says that as well as the hormone prolactin, which increases sleepiness, drowsiness, and overall exhaustion in men and women, oxytocin also has a similar effect. However, ladies of the audience, how many times has your man fallen asleep after sex? Where you just go to talk and all of a sudden there's just snoring. That's because of oxytocin and prolactin. So the idea that after sex you can create an emotional bond because of cuddle talk is just not true. Also, I would like to point out that we live in 2017 where everybody has their hands on a cell phone. And if you've come over to watch Netflix, then the likelihood of you having Netflix on that phone is also pretty high. So it's more likely that instead of trying to talk to some stranger that you may not even know very well, you're gonna just go back to watching Netflix on the movie, or on your phone rather, and fall asleep that way. So the need for cuddle talk, or the existence of cuddle talk, is pretty slim. To move on to the second argument, the patriarchal bias. Negative claims that there is inherent bias in normal dating culture. And this is true, that right now there is a lot of pressure that exists on women to actually give out sex, as it were. But saying that there are clear lines because of Netflix and chill is also blatantly false. The reason for Netflix and chill's existence is because people were trying to be sneaky and clever when they were inviting somebody over to have sex. So saying that this makes things clear and defines boundaries is just not true. It also doesn't actually get rid of the gender biases, the stigma, or the pressure that exists. Sure, that you may have less confrontation with people, or they may not be face-to-face when you're asking them if they would like to come up and have sex, or anything like that. But because it can be done so easily, of just, hey, you want to come over and Netflix and chill, then the amount of times that this can happen to somebody is also drastically increased. So it's more like the death by 1,000 cuts style of putting pressure on somebody. It's like if there are any parents out here, if you have a child that asks, can I have a cookie 1,000,000 times, then eventually you're going to give in, even though the pressure isn't really that great because it happens so much, you get killed by 1,000 cuts. All this does with Netflix and chill is puts a fresh coat of paint on an old problem. Netflix and chill, the opponents say, are actually solving for several gender biases and stigmas that exist in today's problem, but rather it's just trying to claim that they fixed it, but allowing them to fester at the same time. So it goes deeper than just saying that Netflix and chill solves all these problems. Really, we should be looking more into why we're hiding our intentions for wanting sex. But all that Netflix and chill does is exactly that, of saying, I don't know what sex you're talking about. I just want to watch Netflix. Thank you.
Wow, you're tall. Hold on a second. Okay. So I'd like to start by saying, just as Andrew was refuting our side, I will simply be refuting the affirmative side. I do this a lot, I change sides. So let's begin. Starting with the argument of emotional detachment. Our opponents here talked about how, deep breath, okay. Our opponents here talked about how, ghosting in the environment of Netflix and chill. However, ghosting is something which is a stylistic choice of dating. It's never going to be something which is the cultural norm, because it's something that people do as a choice of this is how they're going to pursue relationships. It's just like the way that previously some guys would hit on a lot of girls and would just not call them afterwards. It's the same exact thing, and not everyone is going to adopt it. They talk about about how Netflix and chill leads to emotional detachment. However, in a culture where ghosting is a possibility, emotional detachment can actually be a very good thing at the beginning, because it allows you to protect yourself from these kinds of people. So how do relationships start under this culture? Here's the thing. The way Netflix and chill works, it allows you to avoid those really awkward dates that you go on where you're just kind of sitting across from someone and trying to make small talk when you don't know anything about them. Instead, you draw these clear lines. It's like, hey, I like you, we should have sex. And you're able to do this with however many people you choose. Some people choose a lot, some people choose a few. And it allows you to see if you have any sort of chemistry with that person. Now, the people that you have chemistry with, you'll find that right away. And it's those people that you're going to pursue a relationship. It doesn't have to be all of them. It doesn't have to be any of them. People are free to make this choice. And the more people that you're able, and try that again. So some people might be able to find it on the first go, but for those of us that can't, it allows you to try different people, which means you're more likely to find your match. So going on to the second argument of casual sexpectations. Oop, gotta look at my notes here. Okay. So they talk about how there's this greater pressure because of how many people are asking, someone. However, just as our opponent stated, it's easier to ask because it's over the phone. Well, here's the thing. It's also easier to say no over the phone because you don't have to look someone in the eye when you basically reject them. It's a lot harder to do that when you're standing in front of someone and you know their feelings might be hurt. It's a lot easier to be able to say no, thank you when you don't have to look them in the eye, which can honestly be a better thing. Furthermore, they talk about how casual situations are suddenly sexually charged. You suddenly start wondering about every little situation if it means that someone wants to have sex with you. But here's the thing. In all romantic relationships, that's already a thing. You don't ask someone out to dinner if you don't want to have sex with them. Just saying. So it's actually a good thing that people start questioning this sooner. It means, nervous giggling, ignore me. Okay. It's actually a good thing that people start questioning this sooner. That means they're thinking about this early on. It means no one is going to get blindsided because they came over to hang out and suddenly someone wants sex. You're already thinking about that. And that means you're already able to start formulating your responses and already wondering if you're ready for this in the relationship or not. It's a good thing to start questioning this. It's a good thing to start questioning this early. So yeah, Netflix and chill may not be the be all end all that solves every situation. It still has its problems, but it has made things better for some people. It's made it easier for people to say no, for women specifically to say no when they face this patriarchal bias, or for them to explore their sexuality. The point is, it's a step in the direction that we need to go. It's going to take us to where it's going to take us to the ultimate solutions. Thank you.
Test. Okay. So we're getting into the final stretch of the debate here. The last two speeches are going to be rebuttal speeches where Kevin and myself will wrap up what's happened in this debate from the perspective of our side. So, thank you everyone for being here. We're always desperate for money here at the speech and debate team, and we're always looking for new members to join our cult. So, with that out of the way, the first argument that we've got here is the issue of emotional detachment in our society. The fact of the matter is, has been laid out by our side, people are not emotionally investing in each other anymore, and this is reducing their ability to communicate with each other and even to connect with each other on some level. This really turns their entire case against them because it leads to a society of people who never learn how to emotionally connect with each other and therefore never do it. Because when it comes to the issue of this cuddle drug, oxytocin, everyone wants the next hit. It's true. But if you can get that next hit of that love drug by just texting someone, hey, want to Netflix and chill after the speech night tonight, then why would you invest in a relationship if that's all it takes to get the next fix of that drug? And honestly, when it comes down to it, you'll actually get more oxytocin from a committed relationship because it's not just something that's released during sex, it's actually a neurochemical that's linked to bonding between people. And so if you're getting involved with someone who you're already emotionally attached to, there's going to be a lot more oxytocin as a result of sex than there would be if you just hook up with a random stranger. So either way, you're going to be having better sex if you're doing it more consistently with someone who knows you. I mean, that makes sense, right? So then we move on to the issue of let's look at this. Let's take a step back and look at this through the perspective of How I Met Your Mother. For those of you who are fans, this is really the difference between Ted's dating life, where he dates like 9 or 10 women over the course of the series, and he emotionally invests in each one of them along the way, and they have plenty of sex, but he emotionally invests first. Versus Barney, who doesn't. He just hooks up with women every night of the week, and he probably has more sex because of it, but as a result of doing this, he actually manages to damage himself. He becomes so hurt on the inside that when he finally does meet that special someone who he really does want to connect with, he doesn't know how to do that, and it destroys their relationship. Spoiler alert, it was Robin. Sorry, that show went off like 10 years, the air like 10 years ago. Y'all should have gotten to that first. But anyway, okay, now let's move on to the issue of ghosting. Now, this has been characterized as a style that not everyone engages in, and while that is the case, even if only a small part of the population is doing this, it's enough to affect all of us. Every one of us has been on a date and wondered in the back of our mind if it's worth emotionally investing in this person because, hey, they might just disappear next week, because that's what the world is like in 2017. We've all had that thought. We've all had that worry. And that is what leads to us not being willing to emotionally invest up front. We're scared that we're going to get hurt, that we're going to get ghosted by this other person, even if they aren't necessarily going to ghost us, right? So we all take up this defensive posture, which makes us less likely to reach out and actually connect with someone when that opportunity comes along. It means that even this subset of the population can be ruining the dating scene for everyone, basically. So, oh, and also, this is, when you take this a step further, this is encouraging the logic of objectification of other people and disposability. Why would I care about what happens to you when I can find someone newer and hotter on Tinder or whatever, right? People become disposable at that point, and this ties back in with the inability or unwillingness to emotionally invest in each other. So now we move on to the issue of sex expectations, and this has been a consistent problem in our culture for as long as anyone can remember, and coded language seems to be right at the center of this. While it may be obvious what I want if I ask someone to Netflix and chill with me after this debate, it would not be so obvious if I just asked you if you want to hang out with me or just come chill, right? So the point is that this language isn't just simple and clear and easy to understand. It's metastasized into these different forms where everybody's double checking themselves all the time. Does this person actually want to hang out, or are they trying to bone me? It's a real issue, and right? And it makes us doubt ourselves, it makes us question each other, and it feeds right back into the inability for people to emotionally invest. Because the fact is that this Netflix and chill culture does not solve for slut shaming. Women can still be shamed for having sex too soon or having sex too late or not having sex the right amount or whatever. All of this stuff still happens under Netflix and chill. It's just in a different setting. And so when it comes down to it, this doesn't really solve the patriarchal bias. It just masks it with a new coat of paint, as Andrew was talking about. And the last thing on here is actually the issue of exchange of resources. Of course, it's probably better that we eliminate the exchange of resources from our dating scene, since it it's based on outdated stereotypes and it's not really functional in today's world, yada yada. But the fact of the matter is, Netflix and chill is not the only way to do this. There are other ways to solve for this problem. And when it comes to asking that question of yourself, do I want to have sex with this person? Am I going to have sex with this person? Isn't it easier to find that answer? Isn't it easy to make sure you've made the right answer if you already know that person, if you've already invested in that person, if you're already sure that because you've known them a long time that they're not going to ghost you? That's what this debate is all about. Thank you.
Guys ready? Audience ready? All right. I'm going to close this debate off tonight by telling you guys why I think Netflix and chill has done more good than harm. And that's really what I want to focus on today. I want to focus on that actual question. This debate is not about whether or not our dating culture is awful, because it is. It has been for hundreds of years. It's about whether or not Netflix and chill has made it a better place, or has made it a worse place. And the only arguments that we have in this round are about how terrible it is and about how Netflix and chill doesn't perfectly solve for these issues. Does Netflix and chill make it so that patriarchal bias doesn't exist in dating culture? God, no. It's still way easier for men to ask out women than it is for women to ask out men, but it helps. It makes it easier for women to say no. because they don't feel the pressure of being face-to-face, because the question comes at the other end of a text message. Is ghosting a problem in our dating culture? Absolutely. But as was said, like, ghosting happens because of text messages, instant messages, caller IDs on all of your smartphones. That's what lets you ghost people. It lets you know who's trying to communicate with you and completely cut them off. And it's ghosting that causes this fear of emotional attachment and causes this emotional detachment. It has nothing to do with Netflix and chill. Netflix and chill doesn't make it easier to ghost people. It doesn't make you more likely to ghost people. It just makes it hurt less when somebody ghosts you. Ghosting's gonna happen. It sucks. There are garbage humans in the world. They do garbage things. One of them runs our country. Like, Netflix and chill is fundamentally about asking the question first. And it might have been invented as a way of being coded and subversive, but it's so well known now that we know to be on the lookout for other phrases. We know that phrases like, do you want to hang out, might be coded language for some jerk trying to get into your pants. And you look at that message and you go, is that what this guy wants from me? And you maybe say no. And maybe once in a while, you say no to a great guy who really just wanted to be your friend. And I'm sorry, great guy, but protecting a woman's right to choose is probably more important than your feelings. And it probably always will be. So does Netflix and chill fix everything that's wrong with our dating culture? No. But it's a necessary step away from a culture where only men can ask out women. And only men being able to ask out women was a necessary step away from a culture in which women who were dating couldn't have sex, which was a necessary step away from you get married for life and that's the only person you're ever with, which was a necessary step away from paying people to take women off your hands. Like, our culture is getting better. It's not good yet. I'm not gonna try and pretend like it is, but it's getting better. And that's really what this debate is about. Now, I do want to address the Barney-Ted issue because there are some problems with it. For starters, if I looked like Neil Patrick Harris, I would probably be able to have sex every night if I chose to. I don't. I'm not ever gonna look like Neil Patrick Harris. I'm not gonna be able to make that choice. So that's kind of a problem with it. But the other real problem with it is that Barney wasn't the only one in that relationship that was super damaged, nor was he the only one in that comparison who destroyed his relationships due to being emotionally damaged. That show is fundamentally about people. Ted destroys his relationships by being just as emotionally damaged as Barney, and Robin is just as participant in the emotional detachment that leads to the destruction of her and Barney's relationship. And ultimately, Ted and Robin end up together, maybe? Nobody's sure. Yeah. So, like, it's a good analogy, but it's a little flawed because what it's talking about is it's not talking about Netflix and chill versus traditional dating culture. It's talking about casual sex leading to relationships versus relationships leading to casual sex. Both of those are valid. And Netflix and chill is the thing that has made casual sex leading to relationships valid. And that's why it's done good. It's opened a door without shutting any. Thank you.
Now, I don't know about you, assembled audience, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, do you want to come over and Netflix and chill in a serious context?
Hey, Jimmy, you want to Netflix and chill after this?
Oh, dear God, Fletcher, I'm now scarred and have to leave. But seriously, isn't this worth the $5? The debate team has just educated you about your sex life.
And before we move on to the next event, we're going to have you, the audience, determine who you think won. So stop. If you believe the negative one, which was the team advocating that Netflix has done more good, yeah, clap. The negative.
Now, if you think the team led by a cult leader named Fletcher and who talked about How I Met Your Mother first won, please clap louder. And they have it.
No, that was literally the same.
Easy.
Literally the same.
All right, Hal, decide.